What's up, guys? This is Wes with Sincity Tactical, and welcome to the Sincity Tactical Show. With me, as always, Griff and Jax.
Hey.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Another day, another dollar. All right, just getting everything set up here. As you see across the bottom, SinCityTacticalNV.com or SinCityTacticalMN.xyz will take you to either one of the division's pages. Also on there, you'll find that there's new products out, like I'll show you. The Come and Take It Sin City Tactical MN Division Molon Lab shirt, or Lave, however the hell you want to say it. Come and take it. Sin City Tactical MN, repping them today, and it looks like they're repping the father brand or division at the moment.
Sir.
Cool. Yeah. And of course, Jax has to wear his exclusive shirt. You see that grin on his face.
Yeah, I love the member only.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump right into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Pro 2A news section. Excuse me. So I wanted to talk about how did the Second Amendment come to be to begin with. When the U.S. Constitution was written, there was much debate over whether or not to include a specific Bill of Rights. Many people at the time believed that if the government made a list of protected rights, then all rights that were not on the list would be trampled. Others felt that it was necessary to include specific freedoms to keep them from being taken away by an overactive federal government. Still, others felt that we needed to trust our government to lead us and not shackle them with things they could and could not do. Originally, the Constitution was approved without a Bill of Rights, then sent to the states for ratification. Many of the states, however, did not approve of a constitution that did not guarantee the protection of certain rights and freedoms. So in the process of ratification, many of the states voted for the Constitution while specifically listing rights they felt should be included by amendment. Among these rights were freedom of religion, speech, and the right to keep and bear arms. James Madison was largely in charge of drafting the original Bill of Rights. He looked over a very large list of proposed amendments, which had been recommended by various states. Then he narrowed them down. He submitted them to the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives, where they passed 10 of them, and those 10 became known as the Bill of Rights. According to the writings cited in That Every Man Be Armed, Mr. Madison has introduced long expected amendments. It contained a Bill of Rights, the rights of the people to bear arms, trench coats, page 76. So a little bit on how our Constitution came about and the rights that we have. Now, I think we're all in agreement here that we definitely feel like our rights are being infringed upon, especially right now with the way that the world is and the way that everything's going. So with that being said, Griff, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, let's never forget where we came from. And our founding fathers knew best, in my opinion, at least.
Absolutely. Jax, you got anything to add?
Yeah, obviously every country has, their own Bill of Law and Bill of, rights, I'm sure, unless you're a communist country. But with that being said, our right to keep and bear arms, as well as our right to freedom of speech and the rest of the amendments that we have as Americans that are our right. And I do feel where you're coming from on things that are getting infringed upon, and it's been slow. I'm not going to say super slowly taking place over a long time, but at least within the last year, obviously, especially with this COVID stuff going on, you're starting to see a lot more of our civil rights as human beings here in America getting violated or infringed upon just innate, the overall general aspect of it. So with the Second Amendment one being more and more infringed upon with ATF and everything else like that coming down with new laws, it doesn't really surprise me. All we can do as Americans is just continue to fight for what we believe in and do it the right way, obviously, not riot.
Absolutely. I agree. If there isn't anything left on that, we'll move right into it. Let's see. RX David, me and my whiskey are here.
Drink to that.
Good to know. And then it looks like we also have G3 Survival in the house. Shout out to you. We missed you last week on the competition for the CLS, but you'll be happy to know that anybody that had any negative points, it has been reset to where you will not lose points. You can only gain them. So you either stay where you're at or you gain a point. So you guys are back in the running. To speak on that a little bit more, we'll let Jax talk about the additions of certain people and the how many questions are being done per show type of stuff, since that is his topic.
Indeed. So, I know we kind of briefly touched on the whole amount of questions that we're going to be asked. I figure the fair amount is we do at least minimum 2 questions per person for the CLS portion, just because in case there is a tiebreaker, from the first question, there's always that second one per round, try to balance out the scoreboard. We did reset the negative points to 0, so this way people weren't falling too far behind in the competition and not being able to compete. So obviously G3 wasn't here last week, so RX David and a few other viewers decided they wanted to chime in and take part in our CLS competition, which is awesome. Appreciate your guys' support of that as well and chiming in.
Absolutely. All right. So now that we've caught up some of the mainstream viewers that join us every week, which once again, thank you very much, everybody that does join us every single week. We greatly appreciate the support. We're going to move right into our tactical gear review, and I am going to talk about the racks that you see behind me that are holding up my firearms. Not necessarily a tactical gear item, but it's a cool way to store the guns. As you can see, I do it every show. I have the guns out to where they can be shown, since I can't physically touch them during a live stream. Where you can get them: Walmart. They're made by what is it? It's like Rough and Tough or something like that. It's a off-brand type of name stuff. It's found in like the automotive / sporting goods ish section, and they're technically made for your garage to like hang up shovels and hoses, electrical cords, things like that. But one rack comes with 2 curled hooks, which hold the firearm very well, right around the barrel. And as you can see, I have multiple different types of firearms. We've got ARs. We've got a CZ Scorpion up on the wall. We've got a Mossberg 590M shotgun. And then the longer ones that you see here, these posts, as you can see, is holding, it's a Ruger EC9S, that purple one. That's Jonna's firearm. It's got my M206 revolver, which you saw in the EDC How and Why. And normally I have other pistols up on the wall, but there's a better view. You can see the top right is holding the 100-round drum. And yeah, they're $15.99 or $14.99 per rack. So instead of going out and buying these super expensive gun racks, as you can see, these work perfectly fine, holds all the guns. I haven't had any issues with them. And yeah, they're good to hold your firearms in the event that you're trying to have like an armory type of wall.
Yeah.
Any questions on that, you guys?
Yeah, I actually kind of like that idea for more of a low-end cost side of things for the overall display factor of what you're doing. I know not everybody out there is going to have the kind of scratch on them to go and drop money on, for instance, a tack wall like I've seen in other people's houses.
Grip.
But, for the overall general purpose of basically doing the same thing, but, for not even half the cost on the dollar, I mean, you can't beat it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Plus, it allows me to hold other objects too, not just the firearms. So, like, obviously, when I'm not doing the show, because it is close to me, I'll hang like work belt, things like that from these type of prongs. So then I have kind of an EDC dump area too, which makes it nice once the guns are put away and stuff. So, yeah, check that stuff out. We're going to move into Jax's tactical gear item review.
Indeed. So bear with me real quick while I reach over here. So this week I'm going to go ahead and talk about my nice little competition rig setup. More of a cheaper rig, not anything too fancy, too high speed, but just enough to get the job done. So going to go ahead and pull this up here. So this is your Crydex 4-piece speed pistol mag pouch and belt. It's got your inner belt, your outer belt. It comes with belt clip there. However, I'm running my Blackhawk Omnivore on here for competition. It is made from a strong and durable ABS polymer material, and the nice part about these mag pouches is it is adjustable to fit not only single but double stacked magazines. Overall running price on Amazon for the rig itself is about $57 before shipping, obviously. So if you're looking to get into shooting sports and you don't necessarily want to borrow somebody's rig, and you have the scratch and want a decently priced starter belt, I definitely look into getting yourself one of these.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I like war belts, gun belts, things like that. And of course, I know your thigh rig setup can also go onto that as well, which is nice, which we talked about having a thigh rig competition. That'll probably be the middle of next month, so stay tuned for that stuff. But let's hop right into Mr. Griff and let him go over his tactical gear item.
All right. For this week, I have the Shellback Tactical Super Admin Pouch. $44. It's currently on sale for $28. Comes in 4 different colors. Made out of 500 denier nylon. Lifetime warranty. Now, the thing I like about having a dedicated admin pouch is when it's on your plate carrier, and you only have so much space in like your kangaroo pouch. This offers a nice slim design to pack everything in. Just to work from the front into the back. Have a nice multi-use pouch. Stick a magazine in there, or in my case, a couple pens and markers. Have a nice hook and loop mounting surface right here in the front. Flip that down. Have a nice little pouch here, along with a ID holder. In this case, I just stuck a index card in there for various utility purposes. Go and unzipper this. Have a large main pouch here in the back. Plenty of elastic bands here in the middle, and 2 pouches here in the front. Also have two elastic bands here on the very bottom for tourniquets or anything like that. Along with the built-in Molly, straps or weaves or whatever you want to call them. I find it suits many needs just fine. And I'm just currently reading G3's comment want to let you guys know Optics Plan shares your info with Facebook. I wanted to turn off off-site activity last week, and sure enough, Optics Planet was one they listed on Facebook for my personal info. That is great to know. Thank you for sharing that.
Now, I do have a question about that. Two questions. The admin pouch.
Yes.
So that can also be integrated into like a Vertex bag, obviously, things like that.
Yep.
When it comes to that, it's the material. Is it durable, like super durable? Does it feel like it's weatherproof, like the zippers and stuff? Or do you feel like their water could get in there?
I would have to say the actual zipper portion of itself is pretty waterproof. Where the zippers do meet, though, you do have a slight hole, but that's like with most closures. So probably slide them over to one side or the other. Find some way to shield that a little better.
Okay, cool.
The material itself, though, like I said, is 500 denier nylon. So it's pretty good, strong stuff.
Sweet. And then G3, off of your comment, is that because you've purchased things from Optics Planet and you have an account with them that they're listing your stuff? Or is that just in general if you've searched their website? Because me personally, I haven't bought anything from Optics Planet before. And while we wait for a response on that, we'll keep it moving. But I like that admin pouch. I'd probably go all black too. My plate carrier is all black.
Yeah, same thing with mine.
Yeah. And then, of course, Jax has his standard issue.
Yeah, mine's the OCP color, so I'd probably run like the OD tan if it came.
Yeah, they had that. I saw that.
So.
Okay, well, while we wait for that response back about Optics Planet, I think that's good information for the viewers out there. Definitely for us. I had no idea. So we are going to move into the red button news section. And this is Jax's topic. So we'll pull up his article here.
All right.
Before we get into that, looks like G3 did respond here.
Okay.
I have an account, but I'm done ordering from them. I emailed them with the screenshot proving it, and they still denied it.
Oh, so that's not good.
All right. That's unfortunate.
Disclaimer, Optics Planet is basically giving up your information through Facebook and things like that. This is being quoted from a third-party source. I physically don't have proof. We don't have proof, but G3 Survival is a very trustable source. So if he says it's true, I fully 100% believe that it is true. So be aware of Optics Planet and check. Let's see. I'm going to read his first comment again. Wanted to let you guys know Optics Planet shares your information with Facebook. I went to turn off-site activity last week, and sure enough, Optics Planet was one they listed on Facebook for my personal info. So check your Facebook settings, see if there's other third-party consumers accessing your information from Facebook, and turn that off, obviously, because it is a violation of your privacy. So just be aware of that stuff. And then his second comment to that was, I have an account, but I'm done ordering from them. I emailed them with the screenshot proving that they were using his information from Facebook and that they denied it. So that definitely seems like a shady business practice there. And that's sad because I know I've recommended some products that came off of Optics Planet. So unfortunate to see, but like I said, G3 is a reliable source of information, and I'm probably never going to order from them, period, if that's stuff that they're doing. So unfortunately, Optics Planet is cut. All right. Let's move into the red button news.
Indeed. So Trump celebrates his acquittal, says the impeachment was part of a witch hunt. Now, former President Donald Trump is responding to Saturday's Senate vote acquitting him of an impeachment charge of inciting an insurrection. In a statement released shortly after the vote, the former president described the now concluded proceedings as part of a witch hunt perpetuated against him by one political party. But his statement ignored the fact that the vote against him was bipartisan, with 10 Republicans joining Democrats in the White House or in the House to impeach, and 7 Republicans joining with Democrats in the Senate. The 57-43 vote in the Senate, however, fell short of the 2/3 majority needed to convict. Trump thanked his legal team as well as all the representatives and senators who he said stood proudly for the Constitution we all revere, and for the sacred legal principles at the heart of our country. Absence from the statement was any direct mention of the events of January 6th at the U.S. Capitol building or any condemnation of the violence that occurred that day. Trump did thank his supporters. We have so much work ahead of us, and soon we will emerge with a vision for a bright, radiant, and limitless American future. Our historic, patriotic, and beautiful movement to make America great again has only just begun. The statement read, "In the months ahead, I have much to share with you, and I look forward to continuing our incredible journey together to achieve American greatness for all of our people," Trump said. So, obviously, Trump got acquitted of impeachment. And from my standpoint, that whole thing was just a waste of time anyways. They waited until he was at the end of his term, when Biden was still president-elect on his way into office, to go ahead and start the impeachment trial against Trump. And for what? I mean, like we've talked about previously, all the burning down and rioting and looting that happened just even here in Minnesota over the start of the pandemic and the George Floyd case was just ridiculous, not to mention everywhere else. So with him being acquitted of those charges, I mean, I'm happy to say that he's going to still be able to run for next presidency term when the election happens again, if he so decides to. Wes, can't hear you, brother.
Boom, good catch. Microphone was on mute. Good catch. I personally agree with you. It's pretty disheartening to think that, you're still going after dude. He's already out of office. He's not physically causing problems. You can't get him on Twitter, Facebook, none of that stuff, so you're not even hearing from him unless it's articles like this from the media itself. Just leave the man alone. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, people have their own feelings about the whole situation, which we're not going to get into. But to do this impeachment after Biden already has taken office and has already signed a couple of whatever orders or whatever the hell he's doing, just let it go. You know what I mean? Just let it go. What we should be doing is impeaching Nancy Pelosi and all the other politicians that have been in an office for 40 plus years who haven't done anything to better the country. Those are the people who need to be impeached and out of office, personally. But that's my thought. Griff, you have any thoughts?
No, I completely agree with both you guys and former President Trump that, in just my opinion, this has been nothing but a complete witch hunt. It's just horrendous what they were doing, and goes to show that even once the guy leaves the office, they're still willing to go after him. That's deplorable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's that time.
Indeed. It is good old CLS training. Now, this is just kind of something I'm going to throw in. We're not going to watch the entirety of it. However, this is just a... Oh, wait a minute. What happened there? Yes, it does. Awesome. Okay. So, I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out to Wes real quick. And if you don't mind, we'll pull this up real quick and just watch a small clip of it just to kind of get a general idea of a CLS style carrying maneuver.
A clip it. So between a snippet and a clip.
Yeah.
No, this
is
7 minutes long.
We don't have to play the full 7 minutes, bro.
Okay. Well, I'm just making sure.
How many here have ever executed firemen successfully on an unconscious casualty by yourself? By yourself. By yourself. Come on out. Ready?
What do you weigh, Will?
180.
180, that's it? Come on, man. You're doing a good job. You're doing great, man. Come on. Come on. Get up. Oh.
Yeah.
He's perfect.
Really gets into it.
All right, stop. Stop. Everybody get it?
The point?
Yeah. What's the point?
80 minutes. It's hard.
Real dead weights.
All right. Ain't nobody here going to the gym and grabbing 180 pounds of pudding with sticks in it, snatching it off the ground and putting it on their back. Because that's what you have when you have an unconscious casualty. 180 pounds, or whatever he weighs, of pudding with sticks in it, wrapped in hard-ass plastic gear, okay? So getting a casualty up isn't that easy, especially when they're unconscious, uncooperative, not working with you. I'm going to show you a couple of techniques that if you don't practice them, they're not going to magically come to you. Come on out here. How much do you weigh? So we got a casualty that weighs 165. Just take a step to your side so I never have to teach this again. Thank you. I'm old, dude. I can't do this all the time. All right, so this guy weighs 165 pounds. I'm going to do this at speed and then we'll back it off, okay? This is a technique I learned when I was in the Ranger Battalion. I didn't magically come up with this, okay? And if you don't practice it, it's not a viable thing for you.
Fuck. Again.
At some point, gotta work.
Yeah, shit.
I guess I overestimated. Relax your body. You see, I can feel that guy getting stiff, okay? A real casualty isn't gonna roll with me. He's just gonna be dead weight. All right, he rolled with me. All right, he weighs 165 pounds. You can get him up like nothing, okay? It's just a combat roll across his body. Anybody here weigh 220? Come on down. This guy outweighs me by 40 pounds. If you practice technique, it doesn't. I get them organized. I got them nice and stable. I've got my hips underneath my freaking shoulders. All I got to do now is post up here, stand up with them.
Anybody's done a Turkish
Walk.
get up? It's real
Relax
important
your
to
body.
have everything in alignment. All your, if you're off a little bit, it's an injury waiting to happen.
Now I could probably move out 100 yards with this guy.
All right. So I know we kind of talked about other carries in previous CLS episodes. However, I just kind of wanted to give you guys another example of way to pick up and carry a casualty in the heat of battle while still keeping as many guns in the fight as possible. All right. So
G3 first.
Yep. We're going to go ahead and start this week off with G3. And now
I had myself
He
heated,
was
but
negative 2.
Right. So G3 asked for some yes or no questions. I did come across a couple. I guess I'll be fair and give you a yes or no question here. The casualty has severe bleeding from a head wound. Should you apply a tourniquet to control the bleeding? Alpha, yes. Bravo, no.
Hey, you know, I've done a few fireman carries in my time, but nothing that fancy.
Yeah, I was going to say, dude, I don't know if I'm rolling like that. Read the question and the answers one more time for the people at home.
Indeed. So, question 12 is the casualty has severe bleeding from a head wound. Should you apply a tourniquet to control the bleeding? Alpha, yes. Bravo, no.
G3's answer, Alpha.
Unfortunately, G3, the correct answer would be Bravo.
Well, the only place you could place a tourniquet would have been the neck, and that
That
Stop the bleeding.
it's going to stop the bleeding for sure. That's stopping the bleeding.
It stopped the bleeding, but it also stopped a lot of other things that you don't necessarily want it to.
Well, as the video showed, dead weight could be easier to carry if you just do a ranger roll. Okay.
True. You have a good
No
point.
man left behind.
However, you just defeat the entirety of the purpose of doing all of that by involving your combat lightsaber.
G3 responded to you, Jax.
I was right, he says.
I'm starting to think G3 is just playing by golf rules.
I think so. I think he's trying to call a mulligan here.
I think so too, but you know, we're gonna Charlie Mike. Let's see here. Looks like
RX David, are you still
might
with
have
us?
RX David in here still with his whiskey, which again, cheers, brother. But we're gonna go ahead and give you your next question here. G3 says cauterize the wound with combat lightsaber. Now, RX David, here we go. Question 15. You're applying a splint to a casualty's limb. Which of the following is a general rule to follow? Alpha, immobilize the joint above the fracture. Bravo, immobilize the joint below the fracture. Or Charlie, immobilize the joint above the fracture and the joint below the fracture.
Question and answers again for the people at home.
Yes, sir. So, question 15. You are applying a splint to a casualty's limb. Which of the following is a general rule to follow? Alpha, immobilize the joint above the fracture. Bravo, immobilize the joint below the fracture. Charlie, immobilize the joint above the fracture and the joint below the fracture.
I'm trying to think of the answer to that one myself, and I think Griff is doing the same thing.
Honestly, I just have the Jeopardy music playing in my head.
Okay. Well, RX David responded saying that he is here.
Okay.
So give him the question and answers one more time.
One more time here. Question 15. You are applying a splint to a casualty's limb. Which of the following is a general rule to follow? Alpha, immobilize the joint above the fracture. Bravo, immobilize the joint below the fracture. Or Charlie, immobilize the joint above the fracture and the joint below the fracture. All right,
Charlie.
David said Charlie. And you'd be correct. The correct answer is Charlie. You want to immobilize both the joint above and below the fracture.
Huh. Okay. I would have gotten that one wrong. I would have said below the fracture because I'm thinking of a broken wrist. Well, or say you break your forearm, right? That would still technically kind of be considered a wrist break. So wouldn't you immobilize from the wrist to the elbow? And you would have all, no, I guess you would kind of be like this. And then after it starts to heal, then they cut you down to a half cast. All right, never mind. Good job, RX David. Now, before you read the next question, Griff is not allowed to have no yes or no questions. He's not allowed to have no 2 answered questions. It needs to be at least 3 or more answer choices, and it cannot be super obvious on the answer. Do not cheat for Griff. Thank you.
Says the heckler.
Exactly.
That's right. Says the heckler.
All right. So, Griff, you get question 18. You're going to administer a combat pill pack to a casualty. You should use Alpha, the casualties pack, Bravo, your personal pack, or Charlie, a pack from your aid bag.
Question one more time, please.
You are going to administer a combat pill pack to a casualty. You should use Alpha, the casualties pack, Bravo, your personal pack, or Charlie, a pack from your aid bag.
Yeah, I'll admit this one's a little tricky. Well, if I have an aid bag, that sounds like I'm probably the designated medic. So, C from the aid bag.
Now, wait. Before you tell him yes or no, my answer would have been Alpha on that one. If I'm administering a pill pack, I would want to use the casualties because it could have specific medications set up for that specific person that my personal or my aid bag might not have. Go ahead, reveal the answer.
Wes's answer would be the correct one for that question.
Kaboom.
However, being as you threw in your answer for his question, no points will be awarded because...
No, I don't want to point. I just was giving my answer.
Which is fair. All right. Wes, your question. Question number 20. In most cases, the casualty's legs are placed on a stable object so that his feet are slightly higher than the level of his heart to help control shock. In which of the following circumstances would another position be used? Alpha, the casualty has an open abdominal wound. Bravo, the casualty has an open chest wound. Or C, either of the above.
Oh. Ooh. C, because if you raise the legs up, you're restricting blood flow to the extremities, which is going to make it flow back towards the heart. And you're saying lower limbs, the legs, which means that blood's going to be passing from the abdominal area back towards the heart. So either one would be bad because you're going to bleed out.
And you would be correct.
Yes.
Answer there is Charlie. All right.
And remember, read the question and answers at least 2 times in a row for the people at home.
Your question number 13. This one's for G3. You are treating a soldier with a fractured bone in the forearm. The sharp end of the broken bone has pierced the skin and is sticking out through the wound. Should you attempt to force the bone back into alignment before applying a splint? Alpha, yes. Bravo, no.
You are really trying to help him get back into this game with yes and no question. Griffin's doing the same thing I am. Like, what is happening?
Hey,
No,
he
I was
was not
thinking
here
the,
last week, damn it.
Well, no, I was thinking more like C. You sharpen it and use it as a backup weapon.
I like that too. Or a toothpick. We have an answer.
Answer was Alpha. Unfortunately, the correct answer for question 13 would be Bravo. You do not want to try to force the bone back into alignment before applying your splint. You just want to get them, especially in a care under fire type situation. You want to get the casualty, infield taken care of and medevaced on out to the actual medics that are either A, back stationed here in the U.S. or B, back stationed at your fob. So you want to make sure in kind of a tactical infield care kind of a situation that you deal with what you can right there. Don't spend too much time on them, though. Keeping as many guns in the fight as possible is still kind of the main goal at the end of the day, as well as just getting them out of there so an actual MOS queued soldier can go ahead and further assess the situation.
In his defense, though, I didn't think his answer was necessarily wrong. I would have thought to reset it because I know I've dealt with that, at least with my ankle. But you're also right, too. I was at a facility when it went to get reset. So, G3, I was on your side with that one.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, I could see where G3 was coming from in that scenario myself. So, all right, let's see here.
RX David, he's close, man. He's getting into this competition. He's real close.
Yeah, indeed. So, RX David, question number 9.
Pause real quick. I want to make a challenge because I know we've set up a challenge for me and Griff to where if either one of us wins, something happens to the other, which you guys will like to see. Oh, speaking of competitions, we need to get the anchor for Sincity, Minnesota Division, MN Division at 600 plays very quickly. You will get a surprise by Jax on live stream if you do so. So check that out.
It'll be hysterical.
You will thoroughly enjoy it, is what I'm going to say to that. But I want to make something for our off-air listeners that are competing with us. If one of them were to win, personally, from the Sin City Tactical side, I will send you a hoodie personally. On the MN side, are you guys throwing anything in?
Yeah, we'll throw a item in. I'm not quite sure which one I want to go with yet. I'm kind of between one of the two newer shirts, either the shirt you are currently rocking or the Parabellum.
Sweet. So there you go. RX David, G3, Jimmy T, 702 HVAC guy. If any of you guys win, you'll receive a hoodie and potentially one of the other shirts, maybe a different item. We'll disclose the rest of that information at the end. Now, mind you, this competition is going on until the end of season 2, so there's about another 20-ish episodes to go.
Indeed.
But RX David is up.
All right. RX David, question number 9. You are in a tactical field care situation. The casualty has a cut on his arm with heavy bleeding. What should you do? Alpha, apply an emergency bandage from your aid bag. Bravo, apply an emergency bandage from the casualty's IFAC, which is improvised first aid kit. Charlie, apply a tourniquet, or Delta, tape an airtight seal over the wound. One more time, question number 9. You're in a tactical field care situation. The casualty has a cut on his arm with heavy bleeding. What should you do? Alpha, apply an emergency bandage from your aid bag. Bravo, apply an emergency bandage from the casualty's improvised first aid kit. Charlie, apply a tourniquet, or Delta, tape an airtight seal over the wound. All right. And RX David answered Charlie. Correct answer for question number 9 is Bravo. So, we're going to keep moving here. Matter of fact, let's see. This time we got Griff. All right. Griff, question 19. You have controlled the bleeding from a wound on the casualty's thigh. The casualty lost a good deal of blood. Also, the casualty's skin appears to be pale, cool, and clammy. He is breathing faster than normal, and he is acting agitated. The casualty is probably suffering from A, blocked airway, Bravo, cardiac arrest, Charlie, hypothermia, Delta, shock. Question one more time. You have controlled the bleeding from a wound on the casualty's thigh. The casualty has lost a good deal of blood. Also, the casualty's skin appears to be pale, cool, and clammy. He is breathing faster than normal, and he is acting agitated. The casualty is probably suffering from Alpha, blocked airway, Charlie, cardiac arrest, Charlie, hypothermia, or D, Delta, shock.
Well, it sounds like something probably nicked his artery in the legs, so D, shock.
All right. Shock, final answer.
Yep.
You would be correct. It is
Woohoo.
shock.
Shit, he got a gold trophy.
Language.
Oh, good catch. Good catch. Sorry.
All right, final question goes to Wes. Question number 25. You are accompanying an unconscious casualty during evacuation. What should you do? Alpha, monitor the casualty's breathing. Bravo, monitor bleeding from the casualty's wounds. Charlie, reinforce dressings as needed. Or Delta, all of the above. Again, question is, you are accompanying an unconscious casualty during evacuation. What should you do? Alpha, monitor the casualty's breathing. Bravo, monitor bleeding from the casualty's wounds. Charlie, reinforce dressings as needed. Or Delta, all of the above.
Well, the answer is definitely Delta, all the above. But I kind of feel like that was almost unfair because 99% of the time, all of the above questions are usually that answer. And I don't feel like that was fair to my competition.
Well, you'd be correct. And there's still about 19 or 20 more episodes in season 2 for the rest of our Sincity Tactical Nation out there to catch up and put themselves in the game. So you're just going to have to take it.
All right. Just on record, I stated that I felt that question was unfair for our viewers. That's all I'm going to say.
Indeed.
But I am the only one with the gold trophy, and I will take it. Thank you.
Now look at the silver lining.
Yep.
All right, so now we're on to EDC How and Why. And for this week, just like we did last week, we have a scenario. The scenario, again, it's where I pose a fictitious setting for me and my fellow co-host to step into the shoes of and answer what we would carry in this situation. For this week, we're stepping into the shoes of an office worker with a no weapons policy at work. So just for a little bit of context, imagine working in like a courthouse or something like that where you'd be wanted or checked. And I will be leading this off with my 3 EDC options. So Wes, why don't you go ahead and roll the video and I'll talk more about them after you're done. All right, thank you kindly. Now, first off, I chose a strong full metal pen. It's something that's practical that me working in the office, it would be pretty much expected to have. You have a really nice pen to, I don't know, sign my documents with, but also works as a strong impact tool. My second choice was a divot tool used in golf. Specifically, get one of those El Cheapo ones where I can get whatever company's logo or name put on it to kind of decrease suspicion that, hey, I just love to play golf. I have this really nice divot tool. I probably won at the company tournament. Pay no attention to the fact that it's really just really pokey fork. Again, same premise as the full metal pen. Works as a defensive tool in a pinch. Lastly, a vertex plate, specifically with ceramic plates, because not only is the ceramic plate technology out there nowadays really, really good, but it doesn't hurt to have some extra armor when you're walking around, and gives me a place to store all my other goodies. So next up we have Jax. You all set to go?
Yep, indeed. So the items I chose this week, first we will go ahead and run through my little show PowerPoint, and then I will show the actual items. So if I can get Wes to pull mine up for me right quick, we'll roll on into mine. So again, I kind of went with the more simplistic kind of EDC stuff this week for the scenario in and of itself. Sure, you're working in an office, but what happens if you're told, hey, you're going to the warehouse today and I need you to go to the northeast corner of the building. However, when you get there, nobody's at the front desk, and you need to figure out exactly what corner of the building is the northeast corner. Obviously, compass comes in wonders, even just for finding out directionally what way you need to be walking. Flint starter for fire. Don't really know where you'd use that in an office setting unless you were doing maintenance and needed to have something to go ahead and relight a pilot light on, per se, a furnace or something. But 550 cord, always been kind of my strict policy to have a little bit, if not as much of it as possible on your person, whether you carry an EDC bag with a couple rolls or even just wear some around your wrist. Definitely something worth carrying in that kind of a scenario. Now, when it comes to the small little key knife, from a distance, it looks exactly like a key. I mean, it's carved out with teeth grooves right there. However, sharp and pointy. It's kind of what we're trying to get at here. Always keeping something pokey with you. Never know when it could be useful down the road in a self-defense situation. I currently run mine on my carabiner attachment that goes on to my everyday carry belt. And then last but not least, fairly cheap. I got mine at CC's Military Surplus in Maplewood, but keeping a 50 BMG on your keyring is another good way of having something kind of inconspicuously hidden as a tactical self-defense weapon in case you ever had to use it fighting your way out of a battle and getting off the X in a situation where you don't have a firearm on you. So, it's not necessarily pokey enough to be fatal just at a small jab, but if you hit somebody hard enough with this, you could probably break skin. I wouldn't doubt that. So, just kind of simplistic items that you can acquire for a fairly cheap price and use as a part of your everyday carry and kind of be inconspicuous with the way you do it.
All right, and last up we have Wes to finish off the segment and roll us into the sponsors and shout-outs afterwards.
Absolutely. So, same thing as those guys. I'm going to run a clip of my EDC how and why for the office worker with no weapons policy, and then we'll talk a little bit about it after the clip. Well, I don't know if the video looked glitchy on your end, but it looked glitchy on mine. If it went too quick, I'll explain the items that I had on there. So for my office worker with no weapons policy, my first item was a multi-tool, has a knife, has a saw, pliers, Phillips head screwdriver. It's very versatile, something that most people carry with them. I carry one in my Vertex Essentials bag that I showed for my tactical gear item last week. Nice tool to have on you. Plus, it's got a bunch of sharp, pointy things on it if you needed to use it in that way. And then when I think office environment, I'm thinking city or something surrounded by other buildings as well. Say you're going out for lunch and you're walking instead of driving. You happen to walk past an alley or something, and you get grabbed by somebody into the corner or pulled into the alley or something like that. Obviously, this is all hypothetical, but if you're able to get your hands onto the whistle, it's something that you can blow very, very loud, which is going to attract attention from bystanders walking by or other people, at least in the vicinity of the area. So you could at least try to scare off the attacker in the event that something is happening. So I think one of the biggest things we've talked about, especially with CCW training, is trying to get off the X without having to use deadly force, right? So I feel like the whistle is a very viable tool to help you mitigate violent recourse from either the attacker or you having to apply violence to someone to protect yourself. And then, of course, the last item that I had on there was a flashlight with the capability of a stun gun on the end. So worst case scenario, you blow your whistle, you can't get your multi-tool quickly, but you can grab your flashlight, stun them, put them on the ground, blow your whistle again at them, get closer, blow it again, then run away and laugh. No, just kidding. Don't do that. But those are my items: multi-tool, a whistle, stun flashlight, because I can't carry physical weapons into the building. So those are my items. With our viewers watching, once again, we do like to see which package you guys like the most. Griff, you want to talk about your thoughts on the items?
Well, this week I do have to applaud you, Wes, because when I came up with this, I was thinking about staying in the office itself. I didn't even give a fraction of a thought to, going out to lunch or commuting to and from work. And I would say that was excellent thinking outside the box.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
G3 says, my ex-girlfriend is good at scaring attackers and regular people away. From the stories I've heard, I'd have to agree.
So basically, I think all of our packages lost. We just need to get G3's ex-girlfriend as an everyday carry item.
You go ahead.
No, if I had to seriously vote though on this one, yeah, I definitely agree with Griff on giving it to you, Wes. I've seen a lot of review videos on those stun gun flashlights and that, and most of them are actually pretty good quality. Again, with the whistle thing too, it does kind of all play in hand to hand for different situations, like you were talking about, whether you're commuting to and from work or on a lunch break and just moseying around the work neighborhood. Depending on where you work, you may or may not be in a good neighborhood. So having, something that gets you off the X and is not necessarily lethal, but can save your life in the long run is a plus.
Yeah. The thing I really enjoy about doing these scenarios, it's inviting the other co-host to bring in their perspectives and share their ideas and ideals with everyone else. And at least for me, it opens up things that I didn't look at. And this is the whole reason for it, is to broaden our horizons and have a little fun with it. And now I believe, Wes, we should get around to doing the shout-outs and sponsors.
Absolutely. So first shout-out I want to give to Wendy from Sight Shooter. I've been speaking to her recently, and I compiled a video for her this morning that had her episode in it where I cut out the segment for her. She's going to be taking that footage and having one of her video editors kind of condense it a little bit to where it's just questions and answers and things like that. And she's going to be posting it on her social media platforms, giving us more exposure and also giving some more exposure to her company as well. So big shout out to her. And we're definitely looking forward to moving forward with the partnership. And she did mention that she did want to come back on the show soon. So we will get that all figured out and squared away. So definitely happy to have that sponsorship. She is a sponsor through Patreon, which you can find us at Sincity Tactical or Sincity Minnesota Division on Patreon. There are different packages on there of donations that you can do that allows us to get better equipment. What you guys might have noticed that even though Jax has a wide angled view right now and we're still figuring out background setups for his setup, with your guys' help and the determination that we have to provide you guys with better quality content, he did go ahead and upgrade his camera. And none of this would be possible without you guys. So I think the biggest shout out goes to you guys. Second shout out I want to give is to TacPack, monthly subscription service. They send you some tactical items every single month. It costs about $55 including shipping. If you use our code SC Tactical, you'll get a free mystery grab bag on your first order, which usually compiles some items from previous boxes. It's cool. Griff could tell you he hopped on and got the TacPack subscription about a month or so, I believe, before Christmas. And some items are kind of gimmicky. not going to lie, but some of the items are very functional. Like, for example, the Pelican case, War Machine Pelican case, as you guys saw in the last episode. Griff showed you the inside of his. I haven't determined what I'm going to do with mine yet, but it has pressure regulator valve on it. You're able to physically lock the box as well. So this is TSA approved, which is nice. So now you have a way to take your firearms with you when you fly. So in the event that I decide to fly to Minnesota or drive, I will be able to bring some sort of firearm with me, which is awesome. And that came from that TAC Pack subscription. Now, mind you, that wasn't the only thing that came in that box. So you get about 5 or 6 items every month. Definitely something cool to check out. And you get some practical items. And then, like I said, you get some gimmicky stuff too. But TAC Pack, Sight Shooter, definitely glad to have them. And the other sponsors I'm going to leave for the other guys. So we'll move right into Griff.
Thanks, and I do want to mention TAC Pack. I hopped on back in October, and ever since then, as soon as my pack comes in, I'm immediately chomping at the bit to get next month's. It's great. I love it. But as always, my only shout out I want to talk about is G3 Survival at g3survival.com. And I know he's going to get sick and tired of hearing it coming out of my mouth, but in my opinion, he makes the finest firearm leather goods on the market. That includes magazine wraps, pistol grip wraps for not only ARs and AKs, but your pistol itself and shotguns. Forend wraps. He just recently released new finger straps to go on your forends. Everything is made here in the USA, specifically here in Minnesota. And him and I work closely to come out with new designs. And if you purchase anything from him, you guys will know that I personally came up with the tooling he uses to bring these fine leather goods to your doorstep.
Indeed. And, that's awesome. I do want to shout out G3 at G3 Survival. Obviously, not only does he work closely with Griff on the tooling aspect, but he also is partnered with Sincity Tactical. You can find the G3 tab on our website as well. And whether you purchase his goods through g3survival.com or sincitytactical.xyz or sincitytacticalmn.xyz, all of that product is definitely coming straight from G3. We kind of cut out the middleman of his previous Etsy ordeal, so thankfully that's out of the way, and I'm glad that we got that partnership with him and have him on board. Secondly, I want to go ahead and shout out TACX Pro Gear. If you go online to tacxprogear.com and use our code Overlander25, you can get 15% off your purchases at nationalconcealedcarryassociation.com or 25% off your purchase at TACX Pro Gear. With that being said, I also want to shout out Wendy from Sight Shooter. Obviously, Wes kind of gave a little bit of the off-screen side of things with closely working with her, and I can't wait to have her back on the show. It's always fun to have another person on screen with us to get some different viewpoints out there. And with Wendy, it was nothing short of awesome to have an actual instructor on our show. And then I want to go ahead and shout out B&E Music, one of our Minnesota local record labels. So, for being a local record label, great quality music, in my opinion, comes out of there from local artists. And obviously, at this point in time, support your local businesses and your local labels, because, we're just small guys on the totem pole trying to accomplish a big dream. And without the support of you guys, this wouldn't be possible. Wes, mic's off.
Yeah, thank you again. Try not to make noise in the background. Okay, so you might have noticed that I did not mention controlled pair munitions. This will be the last time that I mention controlled pair munitions on this show. I am going to thank them for the time that was spent at their facility and for the opportunity to work with it within that shop and see the inner workings, the guns, make content for you guys through there. We mutually decided to agree to go separate ways. So I no longer work at the gun store itself. And unfortunately, like I said, we went other ways. As I mentioned before in the episode, literally right before this one, censorship and stuff like that is just not going to happen on this platform. So with that being said, I did mention that if we had to part ways with sponsors and stuff like that, that we would do so to keep the integrity of the show and stuff like that how it is. Not saying that that is what caused the decision to separate. I'm just speaking in the fact that my decisions and stuff like that aren't being based off of trying to uphold sponsors and things like that, because ultimately I enjoy doing this content for you guys. I know Griff and Jax enjoy doing this content for you guys as well. And for us, it's just a matter of, finding the right balance and bringing the content without being told what we're allowed to say and what we can't say, other than words that should be censored, as in derogatory words and things like that, or cuss words, which I slipped and Griff caught it today. But what I'll say to that is that's obviously just guidelines from the platforms that we speak on. So, and plus, cussing all the time obviously just doesn't make you a better human. So it's helping us not be the Navy, is what I'll say, and we'll keep it moving. So it is about that time to wrap up the show. I do want to thank all you guys and thank Griff and Jax for always being on the show with me every single week. It's definitely been a pleasure. I enjoy it. I'm looking forward to the next one, and we're going to have Griff lead us out with a patriotic message.
All right. So this week's patriotic message comes from my personal hero, my all-time favorite president, Teddy Roosevelt. This country will not be a good place for any of us to live in unless we make it a good place for us all to live in. So, respect your fellow human beings, and let's all move forward to a bigger and brighter future.
Once again, thank you guys for watching. We're going to leave you with that, and we hope to see you next time.